Hello, guys, and welcome to the first live stream of Real Talks. For the first episode of um, what is series on HBO Max, and definitely here on the channel, and that is The Last of Us. So w- excited, elation isn't even the word. So I know if anybody that has watched us, let's go around the horn and introduce ourselves. I'm David Steele, and you can find me at Wannabe Rounder. That's WANNABEROUNDER. Tyler. Okay, and our good friend Kyle. Where can they find you, guy? Perfect. So the crew's all here. I'm going to have another member next week. So I'll talk about her later on in the show. Okay, so this was one of the most anticipated series of the year. I think it's the biggest one for HBO Max next to House of the Dragon. Um, so let's start with like, what were your first impressions of the show? Just give me overall impressions of the show. What were they? Okay. Okay. Kyle? Yeah. I gotta say that this was, there was so much buildup. There was so much anticipation. There was so much um, anticipation for the show. And it was, what are they going to do? How are they going to do it? Because the game, I mean, lives, it's an iconic game. It's been out 10 years. It's sold over 30 million copies worldwide. And it's how are you going to bring these two characters that are so loved, that are so liked to the small screen and have it be as powerful, right? And first impressions for me, it hit a home run. They knocked it out of the park. Um, I thought it was so we kind of got a glimpse. We knew what was going to happen to a certain extent because of the showrunner and Neil Druckmann and I mean, Craig Mazin directed this first episode and he did a fabulous job with it. And it just I loved the backstory of it, and you knew you were going to get that in the first couple of episodes to really set up what was going to happen. Um, and really to start that. So, what did you guys think? The very first thing you see, 1968. What was that? And you had the couple of sitting around a round table, and I love the fact that it got cigarettes, so it's black and white type of thing. What did you explain what this was trying to? Yeah, 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 yeah. Kyle, yeah, Kyle, what did you think when you're seeing these doctors talk about this? What was your first thought process? So what got me, so I agree, concur with everything you guys have said. So it what I thought about was that I liked how the doctors explained it. So you had one doctor that was talking about it, and then you had the other doctor that was um, that said, well, you had your pros and cons, and then they gave one of the other doctors gave the what if scenario, and they said, and the host was trying to play this off a little bit, but he said the what if because and it was, hey, what if this happened? What if we actually had this occur? And the other thing I couldn't help but think was how life imitates art. I mean, to your point, we're going, we talk about global warming all the time. Not all the time, but it is a thing that is brought up. It is a subject that's brought up. But moreover than that, um, how life imitates art. I mean, they're talking about pandemics. We're in, we were or continue to be in a situation of that kind of magnitude. Um, just fascinating. And I went, wow. So they're really going to give us a lot of backstory here, and that's great moving forward. Um, the fun. Let's talk about the opening. So I think one of the things I think you guys would agree with, like Game of Thrones and even House of the Dragon, when that was on, it had a significant opening. You know, you had all the different houses for the House of the Dragon and everything else, or Game of Thrones. And this one, what did you have? You had the fungus. It was spreading. And I thought that was really not only apropos, but really cool effect. Um, so finally, after about a 10-minute, 5 to 7, maybe 10-minute, go in, we now go to this opening. And what did you think about the opening? And I mean, obviously, it's but what did you guys think of the opening? Like the opening sequence, title? Yes. You know what? Huh. You know what, guys? I totally forgot to hit the record button. Okay, don't worry about it. We're on live. We're on YouTube live, but that was funny. That was my fault. I totally forgot to hit the record button. That's on me, guys. All right, so yeah, we're on YouTube, but we want to actually get this thing on. That was on me. Okay, here we go. Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Real Talks. I'm your host, David Steele. Um, and so I'm here with two good friends of mine, as millions of other people. Just got done watching the brand new series, The Last of Us on HBO Max. But let's introduce ourselves one more time. I'm David Steele once again. You can find me on Twitter at wannaberounder. That's WANNABEROUNDER. Tyler. And Kyle, where can they find you? Where can they find you? Perfect. Now that we're recording, so nonetheless, we were on YouTube a little bit, but nonetheless, so we are going to sit here and discuss this, and go through this brand new episode, and this is going to be a weekly thing, guys. I'll be sending out the links. Please um, join us, every single week, and we're going to be doing, reactions and impressions and about the episodes. So, um, So overall, before we really get started, give me your overall impressions. Like, what did you think of the episode and how it was done? Yeah, yeah. I would concur with both those statements, and I just thought that it was because, like I said, it's one of those things where you have a game that's been out for 10 years. It's sold over 30 million copies. It's one of the most beloved video games of all time, with two characters of that. It's just beloved, and so this was just a phenomenal uh, episode, inaugural episode. Um, we were just talking about it off the air, but we had it. So one of the things that this is going to do is really set up moving forward, and that is what did you? So the first thing you don't even see a frame of film, 1968. What did you guys think about how that? You know what they were doing. So you see a talk show essentially with two doctors sitting around and talking about what could happen. What were your thoughts on that? Mhm. Yeah. Kyle, what were your thoughts on that? Well, yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, it's the fact that you had two, you know, dedicated doctors talking about, the differences in what it is, penicillin, the fungi to, penicillin to everything else, and then actually elaborating on how this could happen and the what if factor. The what if it was raised to 95 degrees Celsius and everything else, and it's and what you guys were saying really about how the global warming aspect. So they were trying to mix both in there, the whimsical and the reality type of thing. Um, let's go. No, no, yeah, yeah, um, yeah. No, so it's one of those things where it's when you're able to enhance it, like you said, it really makes it better for what it was. So we all talk about openings of shows. I mean, some of the greatest shows. Some shows have some really cool openings. I'm thinking of Miami Vice, but moreover, like a Game of Thrones. And so this is another one of those. That just dated me, by the way. I don't care, but nonetheless, it really like yeah. So nonetheless, though, this like House of the Dragon. It really had one of those cool openings, and you saw the fungi or the fungus just start to spread until and I went okay. What did you guys think of the opening? Did you like that at all, or yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. That would be good to look into. That would be good. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So from 1968, and by the way, I love these time jumps. So from 1968, we go all the way to 2003. So it's quite a bit of time. And so the comedy in the first 10 minutes with Sarah, it was just I thought was I mean we let's face it, we all know what the game is, right? We've all played the game, we all love the game, but we are all interested in seeing how it's adapted to the small screen. So, and by the way, they had to throw some stuff in there for filler. We understand that, like Sarah going to school, Sarah, you know, going over to visit the neighbors and everything, which comes into play later on. But but no, so I was just going to say that it comes into play later on, and but but mhm. Yeah, no, yeah, because of the reflection. Yeah, so the reflection of the um, right, yeah, 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 yeah. No, that's yeah. So yeah. So, yeah. So, the comedy between Joel and Sarah was hilarious. I mean, as I said, we've watched it, we played the game, we watched it. How they were gonna introduce that, the watch scene was very fascinating. And I chuckled introduced that, the watch scene was very fascinating. And I chuckled 3 times in the first 10 minutes. I mean, it was just that actress, whoever played Sarah, was amazing. She was awesome, and was awesome, and I props to her because Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, no, no, they never did. Mhm, yeah, mhm, um, I don't know, I think it's Tommy's truck, because we never saw Joel's truck, but if you did notice, it did see you did see he was a veteran on the bottom left-hand corner. Yeah, yes. So, I mean, that was a little fascinating too. Um, yeah, no, so the game doesn't really once again, we had a lot of filler, but we had to because of, it is small screen, so you have to put it in, you know. So here's the thing. Go wait a minute. So the game is that it doesn't really start until 20 minutes. So when we see that scene when, Joel comes home and she gets the movie, that's when the game really starts. Okay? Right. Well, true. But at the same time, right, right. And so, but that's when it only really starts to, you know, come together. So, yeah, that was something. But a couple of things that you guys brought up, like the house, when they're in the pickup truck in the house and Tommy's driving, that was I love how that lit her face up from the side. So as they're driving by the burning house, it lights up from the side. Amazing. And it didn't, they didn't have to do anything externally or anything else like that. Yeah, that's where the cinematography really comes in. Um, a lot of this dialogue was straight out of the game. I mean, just straight out of the game. I mean, and that's what I was wondering. Are they going to take the dialogue? And you have to have fillers. We understand this, but are they going to take it straight out of the game? Which, if they do, and then it's implemented the game, which if they do, and then it's implemented right, it's really going to be impactful. Um, and there were at least two or three scenes that I noticed that was directly out of the game, and I went, "Yeah, that's like, you know." Let me ask you guys this question: we've all played the games, we all love the games. Was this I even watching it there? Was it painful for anybody else to watch, or was it just me? I'm talking about Sarah dying. I'm talking about Sarah. Yeah, absolutely. Mhm, mhm. I did that the other day. Don't feel bad, but yeah, but yeah. Oh, the city. Yeah. What did you think? Mhm, mhm. No, I saw the twitching. I saw that was right out of. No. Mm, mhm, yeah. No, it's how they well, what ends up happening is it's first and foremost, they didn't hold back. This is why it's TVMA. Okay, this is exactly why it's TVMA because it's known that even cable would not have touched this show. And the fact is that you know you can only get away with so much on cable, and with the amount of you know not even blood, okay, but I mean there was some blood, but it was just the nature of what it was. Um, so then we get another time jump. So we go another 20 years. So we go from 1968 to 2023, almost 55 years in one episode. And, so we see Joel, you know, and it's just, I mean, anybody who's played the game knows what this is. And, you know, the introduction to the other characters I thought was very good. I mean, we were introduced to Tess, you know, um, in a whole other sequence. And so, yes, yes, yes. And then, so I'm not going to give away what happens, but nonetheless, she was in the game. And so, it's one of those things where, that was a very interesting way to introduce her, which I liked, and once again, dialogue just taken straight out of the game. which was helpful because when you're writing it, you can actually do that. Um, so something I noticed, very interesting. We don't see the first shot of Ellie until 47 minutes. Now, 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 here's the thing. When we do see her, okay. By the way, Ellie being Ellie, the woman wants her to count to 10. She's counting to 10, 8, 9, fuck you. And it's just like, okay, we got our Ellie right there. And it's just like perfect. And so the next time we see her is another 13 minutes. So they went, you've only gotten maybe a total of 10 minutes of Ellie in its whole first episode, which tells me maybe a total of 10 minutes of Ellie in its whole first episode, which tells me, yeah, Ashley Johnson. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Ashley Johnson played her in the game. We know that she's going to be, yeah. So there was her mother. No, so, well, a couple of things. Number one, okay, Ashley Johnson, okay, for everybody that doesn't know, Ashley Johnson is who voiced Ellie in both games. Is going to be playing her mother. Her mother was made a reference by Marlene. Okay, um, so she was actually talking to Ellie and said, you know, she because she didn't know at the time that she was given up, so she ended up finding out about her mother, and that's going to probably be a whole other storyline. Okay, um, so that being said, it just the it's interesting how they use one of the Fed agents. So if you guys remember in the game, okay, they were gun smugglers. So what did they moved it to a truck. So they were actually trying to get the battery from the truck instead of the guns, which, you know, I can understand. But yeah, so we've only gotten a couple shots at we've only gotten about 10 minutes of her, which means that later on you're going to get episodes that are completely heavy of Ellie moving forward. Um, I so she. Oh, I'll be honest with you. There wasn't there wasn't enough there for me to say. She there wasn't enough of a sample size for me. There. She's been in like for what I've seen, okay, she's been in about 10 minutes. That's it. I got to see a full episode, okay, to really say, look, the way she came across, amazing. But I've got to see a full episode of her. Okay, I can't. Pedro was amazing. Pedro carried this episode, and that was deliberate because this was his episode because we had to get started with Joel, and you know. Now, I will say one thing. I was wrong about one thing, and that was this. I thought they were going to end with Boston, with the capital. I was wrong about that. So that will probably be, when we get to the next episode. But nonetheless, um, there wasn't enough of a sample size for me. I thought she was good, okay, but I can't. Oh, absolutely. I would say I liked it, absolutely. But as far as the duration, so well, here's where I was going. Here's where I was going with that because she punks Joel. Okay, and I thought that was fabulous. I thought that was great how she punked Joel, and it was just how she ended up doing that. And once again, we all know the game. Okay, we're just wanting to see how they're going to adapt it live action from the live action to the video game, or vice versa. And it's one of those things where they're leaving. You know that they're going to go, leave Boston. You know that they're going to go through the tunnels, the sewer things to get down, and you knew that the Federer was going to stop one of them, and of course that same Federer guy was the one that Joel was dealing with earlier in the episode, so you knew that was going to come full circle. I thought, just to say this last thing, I thought the flashback was awesome. It reminded me. So when he kills, so when Ellie stabs a Federer agent, and he then he puts the gun to him. He's like, "We can fix this," and then he has that flashback of carrying Sarah, and he went, he just turned red. He just turned red. Turned red. He just turned red. He's like, "Oh no, no, no!" And you just saw him beat the ever living crap out of the guy, and even Ellie. So Marlene says, "Look, I'm in no condition to go, but I know what you're capable of. Okay." The fact is that when he's beating the ever living daylights out of the guy, you can see Ellie in the background. Oh, shit, really? So that being said, yeah. So it was one of those things where and then we see them, go off in the distance. We see them, go off in the distance, and that's it. I mean, opening episode. So overall, I would say this: effects were amazing. So overall, I would say this: effects were amazing. Okay, effects were amazing for this. They didn't hold back as far as the um, similarities. Okay, um, the city scene was amazing for me. I mean, when they're going to the city and they have all these people running and it's just chaos, and as you guys brought up, the plane crashing, unbelievable. The going through, going through, I mean, it's like I said, it was just painful to rewatch. Like I said, it was just painful to rewatch uh, the um, that scene over again. You knew it was going to happen, but it was just, you know, um, I really, overall, it was a really, really solid opening episode. It was a really solid. The one thing I will say is this: there wasn't enough. What you were just talking to me, asking me earlier, there wasn't enough for me to say to give my full opinion on Ellie or Bella Ramsey. What did she look good from what I saw? Yes, but it was only about 7 9 minutes. Okay, um, give me a full episode of her. Oh, I knew she would. Oh, the change, yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. I heard that. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, mm, yeah, yeah. Well, you try to what you're trying to do is leave it on a cliffhanger, and sometimes that you just can't do that. It's not with not with I get what you're looking for is what I call the oh shit shot or the oh shit. And this is not one of those where this is not one of those where you can do that. Okay, because it's one of those. I love the show Dexter. Hands down, it's one of the best shows ever produced. One thing that Dexter always invariably did, okay, is they always in the last 5 to 7 minutes they gave you that oh shit scene that you just don't expect, that just keeps it going and makes you want to come back. That being said, if you leave it there, it's kind of there. It's kind of first of all, they were arguing. Second of all, they had to get out, of the situation there because Federer was on their tail. You know, so I could see where you're coming from, but from a story point of view, now I will say one thing: there is some filler, okay, because they have to. Okay, it's television. They have to show a little backstory of Sarah. They have to show you a little backstory of the neighbors. They have to show you, her getting the watch and everything else. That's understandable. So, I mean, like I said, This didn't really start. I mean, yes, you had Sarah waking up, but it was about 20 minutes in. That's when we really, have that. So if you take that 20 minutes out, okay, then you're looking at like a 55, to an hour show, which is still good, but um, it would have had to have moved along a little bit more. And you had one more thing, Tyler, and you had to have when you have a quick, fast opening or whatever, you have to have that juxtaposition. So go ahead, Tyler. Hmm. 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 Yeah. Well, that's what I said earlier. Okay, it was the flashback. He had the flashback, and that's what. So Mhm, mhm. Well, we're not gonna get Bill until probably episode 3. So, Bill's down until yeah, well, and all the reviews, okay, all the reviews, all the things that saying this is not going to start to pick up until episode 3, until we get to Billstown. And once we get to Billstown, all hell's gonna break loose. So, oh, look, look, here's the thing. If that indication of the house in that kitchen is any indication of what we're gonna get in the special of what we're gonna get in the VXF and whatever else, look out. I mean, every single one of the actors talked about that infamous clicker scene, okay? Where they're hiding. That's that screenshot where they're hiding from that clicker. And it but they, that was all them. So if it's any indication, and then of course later on, it's the last scene in the trailer, for sure, you get that bloater. So I mean, look out. I mean, this is just a drop in the bucket. Get. Oh, there definitely will be. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, the last one's going to be crazy. Yeah. I mean, that those are gonna be the people that are gonna have the biggest expectations. They're the ones that are gonna say, "Well, how are they gonna translate this to the small screen?" And as I said before, the dialogue and, the actions and everything else. So, okay, let's move on to predictions. So the next week, episode 2 is entitled "Infected." So, our final shot was them infected. That is the title of next week's episode. What do we obviously if they're going to run into infected? What do we expect, and where do you think that they're actually knowing where the game ends? Where do you think they're going to end the episode? Everybody does. So oh yeah, yeah. So yes, no, that's why. So Fedra is the one that's obviously trying to keep the reins on things. There are not many. So if you guys notice the curfew hours, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Anybody who's out, you know. So, but there are people out there. You saw how they exited and they went out into the biohazard zone. Okay, so that being said, there isn't going to be a lot of that. There isn't going to be a lot of people out there, or if they are, they're affected people. Um, so, I would be curious to see if we're going to, since we're doing the jump forwards. I wouldn't be. I would be very curious to see if it next the start of next week's episode, we don't start at like 1970, and then you have maybe the doctors come back, the two doctors that were there, and then what will end up happening is They're talking about how it's spread. They're talking about the progression of it and everything else. Then, okay, you're going to go to what you were talking about. I think you're probably going to see Ellie's mother, okay, give birth, okay, and then we're going to get, from that point, you're probably going to see Riley, to your point, Kyle, okay, and then you're going to see present day. And then my guess is that um, we're going to end next week's episode. By the way, this is total speculation. I have no inside knowledge about this. You're probably going to end next week's episode right on the precipice of Billstown. So, I think Billstown is going to be a whole episode in itself. No, I don't know that, but if they're saying this is going to pick up in episode 3, you're going to have another player in the game now. Okay, and that's going to be really fun to see the interaction between Ellie and Bill and everything else. But that's where I think it's going to end. So, and that's where I think it's going to go. So that's what I would do. I mean, I think that well, regardless, though, I think what you're going to say is we're going to start to see where this came from. Yeah, yeah. No, I will say this much: I have not watched any besides the one trailer, two trailers, or whatever it is. I've not seen any TV spots. I've not read any reviews. Because I played the game. B, I kind of know what's gonna happen. And C, for me, it's more about interactions, the story, and everything else. I'm really curious to see how they um, play this out. So let me ask you guys this: do you think we get Riley next episode? Because we know she's going to be in it. So Riley, okay, so Riley, so there was a DLC after The Last of Us, and he actually played it, and I just watched the playthrough the other day. Riley was her best friend. Riley, okay, in yes, ends up happening is when she comes back to Ellie, she was working with the Fireflies, okay, and she was basically wanting Marlene was wanting to go, and so left behind is basically her and Ellie going out on an adventure, and so I guarantee you what we're gonna see next. No, so at the end of The Last of Us, okay, Joel and Ellie were having that conversation. She's like, "Yeah, I had a best friend named Riley," and what ends up happening, she got bit. And so at the end of the DLC, she says, "Well, we have two choices. We can take the easy way out, kill ourselves, or we can see what happens." A little poetic justice. And then, so what ends up happening is, of course, Ellie didn't turn, she did. But I'm really curious to see the dynamic there. And that's going to be a really tragic, yeah, that's going to be, yeah. See, that's why I try to stay away from I know, but it takes away from stuff too. No, it takes away from stuff too. But that being said, she's about ready to, so she didn't turn. No, absolutely. So, I mean, that, and once again, I think you're going to see another really sad, um, sad ending, but another sad thing that we're gonna see. First, this is gonna be genius, by the way, guys, because here's the thing. In this episode, we had Sarah dying in Joel's arms. In the next episode, my words, we're gonna have Ellie and Riley, okay? And Ellie and Riley, one of them, obviously, Ellie's gonna, survive, and Riley's gonna get bit, and she's gonna lose her friend. So you're gonna have that juxtaposition. You're gonna have the back and forth flow. Yeah, no, and that's I put spoilers in the thing, but nonetheless, yeah, that if it's anything like that, it's gonna be amazing. Amazing. Yeah, but I know. I don't think a full episode, Tyler, but I'll say probably about 15 or 20 minutes. You're gonna get flashback scenes in it. It's not gonna be a full episode. Yeah, it's not gonna because here's the thing, it's only 3 hours of gameplay, and so when you have no, absolutely. What I'm saying, but here's the thing, in the grand scheme of things, when we're talking about Riley as far as, um, a character, it's yeah, I mean, look, they may do that. I will say one thing, though, that's a missed opportunity if they do. I did I thought a whole episode no. You would dedicate maybe a half of an episode in flashbacks, and that's it. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I suppose it depends on the way you do it. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, we'll s yeah, but We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. So, guys, here's what we're going to do. Next week, we're going to do the same thing. Um, right after the episode, we're going to come on and talk about the episode and give our thoughts and opinions. And we're going to have a special guest next week. Uh, so she's going to be here for the duration after, and that's going to be a blast. Um, and yeah, she's actually, so she gets screeners, so she sees the whole thing. She knows we won't be giving away spoilers. Well, maybe for the episode, but beyond that, so yeah, so that will be a blast. I think that to your point, Kyle, it didn't crash. I'm shocked. So I'm really curious to see. Well, and that's where I was going to go now. Well, numbers are probably later on this week. Right, guys, we got a ton of stuff coming up. I've already scheduled the first part of the first reactions of Get Up Wednesday, and then I'm gonna work on the other half of it. So that will be Wednesday and Thursday. It looks like you guys are gonna get first reaction for January, and that's gonna be Get Out. February is Fargo. Um, yeah, and so then I will try. If I don't get the roundup done this week, or we may just cut down the stories to get them all out to you. Um, the other thing too is we are going to be doing a space tomorrow. So we'll figure out a time, but we will be doing a space tomorrow, and it's going to be all about The Last of Us. That's it. And it's essentially the same format, everything else. And, you know, uh, we'll answer questions, get predictions, all that good stuff. Okay, guys. About it. So until next Sunday night, he's Tyler, he's Kyle, I'm David, and you have been watching a special edition of Real Talks. Bye, guys. It was fun.